Okay, good evening and welcome to the April 25th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. If everyone would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, whether you're joining us in person or over the TV on the cable feed. We have a public hearing on docket first thing tonight, so I would declare that public hearing is now open, and it's the Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing at Waterboro Town Hall on Tuesday the 25th, beginning at 6 p.m. Public hearing is to review or receive comment regarding the proposed 2017-2018 fiscal year budget and the Annual Town Meeting Warrant. The proposed 2017-2018 fiscal year budget is available on the Waterboro Town Hall and the town website. Anybody that would like a copy, there's some over on the table there. So I think Gary had a reasonable synopsis that he had sent out. So I'm guessing I'm going to toss this over a little bit to him as an overview of the entire budget. So you can be as brief or as lengthy as you'd like here, I guess.
Do you want me, there's 16 items on here, do you want me to go down them?
Yeah, just quickly, I think you could probably do that.
Okay. First of all, throughout the entire budget, there's a 2.5% cost of living adjustment figured into all the salary lines. And you'll also notice a major change in terms of health insurance. Every department that has health insurance listed in there, that is now zero in that department, and all the health insurance has been taken over into one section of the budget, which makes most of the budgets, the departments, rather with staff, seemingly have a reduction in their total budget. A single person on health insurance is $9,000. If you have multiples of those, obviously your budget would appear to have gone down. What I've done is I've taken a stance, an opinion, if you will. We lost a very good employee here because of health insurance concerns. It costs about $10,000 to add a spouse or a member of the family on our health insurance. And I suggested to the selectmen that we meet staff halfway. So that if you want to, when I added my wife, it cost me that amount of money. And I think that it's not just myself, but other people, if we met them halfway, that would be about another $5,000 cost to the town to contribute towards a family health insurance plan for an individual with a family plan. So if you look into the budget and see the health insurance numbers that are completely different, that's the reason why. We've retired about $40,000 in lease payments, a tractor, a public works 1-ton truck you see plowing town hall and the library, an excavator and laptops. So leases and debt service show somewhat of a reduction. Health insurance costs I've just spoken about, that's on page 3 of the budget. And property casualty insurance, I discovered a mistake, an oversight rather. Every June we've been coming back in and transferring some money over into the property casualty insurance line to make that line whole. And I'm the one that missed it at the end of the year in terms of budgeting the next year. So our property and casualty insurance has been about $40,000 for a couple of years now. But through a budgeting error, if you will, not an error, but a transfer of funds, I didn't budget for that properly the next year. So it should be essentially $40,000 for property and casualty insurance, and it is for this coming FY 17-18. Minor issue of town clerk expenses in terms of ballot costs. If town meeting is eliminated, we'll be having much longer ballots. Budget committee, assessor. The budget committee thought that the assessor should be a 3-day-a-week contract. And since then, we've contracted with a very experienced lady who's going to start on May 2nd. But it's only going to be 2 days a week. She works for 10 other towns, and she needs to wean herself off of some of those towns. So for 1 year, for the next 12 months, we're going to be on a 2-day-a-week assessor contract. There is a significant sum of money to the tune of $12,500 in the assessor's budget to digitize our parcels. What does that mean? All the parcels, the well over 4,000 parcels in town, need to be drawn out electronically so that they can be on a map. And when you look at the ortho photos showing the forested areas, the roads on the ortho photos or the photos of the land will line up with the parcel map. This is a one-time cost. It's not an annual affair. We've been putting this off for some time. And with all the other things we've done on our GIS to get it ready, this is kind of the final big thing that we need to do. And that's that cost in there. On the budget memo here, I'm over on the second page and item number 7. Code enforcement travel. They moved some minor funds around in terms of mileage. And in the end, the budget committee and the selectmen suggested that town hall purchase a 4-wheel drive truck to be used by code enforcement when necessary, and other than that, split up between recreation and the town hall custodian. And so that's what we would be doing, and that is going to show up in the lease section of the budget. Library, the recommendation was to hire a new librarian at 32 hours, which essentially is full-time here, with benefits, to hopefully have a library science degree. And that is a goal. If it passes at town meeting, that is the goal that we will pursue in the hiring. We have an interim librarian right now. Pauline is doing a great job. Recreation, our fees are up, our summer camp registrations are up, our revenues are up, and we did put about another $5,000 into one of the budget lines here for some of the field work. And if the Public Works reorganization passes, the rec director is going to have fewer field duties. The Public Works director going full-time would assume a lot of the manual and the physical labor, the project work, moving piles of dirt, digging holes, machinery, etc., and leave the recreation director's position more of an administrative task. So there's 2 things that are very important for town meeting to decide. One is the Public Works director going full-time with some additional labor there as well. And the other is, if that happens, the recreation director would be a little bit more administrative than in the past. In terms of item number 10, the planning department, we think at least one more year we need to contract out with Southern Maine Planning and Development Commission. Lee J. Feldman, who's with us tonight, is an experienced planner, and he's made great headway in terms of rewriting sections of the zoning ordinance. The public and folks here should know that the entire definition section of the ordinance, which is the most important part of any ordinance, has been redone by Lee J. and the planning board. They're moving on through other sections of the ordinance, and he can speak to that later, and he's going to be talking about another issue here. If you have any questions, you could ask him how that work is going. Fire department operations. A year ago, we decided one new captain back then and another one this year, and that's what we've done. We've been trying to reduce and eventually eliminate the number of shifts that do not have an actual full-time town employee on shift and just per diems. That was the long-time goal of the fire chief, and this is the second captain's position instead of 2 last year. Got some expensive equipment that we need to retire, cardiac monitors. We're leasing those, not buying them. They cost $25,000 each. Ross Corner Fire Department budget, you'd see that going down a little because a year ago they had a one-time project to replace doors in their station. And for the benefit of the folks back home, Ross Corner Fire Department splits their budget into thirds, 1/3 to Shapley, 1/3 to Alfred, and 1/3 to the town of Waterboro. It's a little under $10,000 to each town. Eco-Maine tipping fees and hauling costs are going nowhere but up. And as we get busier, as the economy improves, those costs are going nowhere but up, and you'll see some significant increase in some of the transfer station lines. Public Works, like I spoke about before, the big change in there is proposing that the director's position go full-time. It's now 20 hours. I'm proposing that it go to 40. Another seasonal labor, which would be 30 hours a week for approximately 6 months, and also another $5,000 for dump truck driver labor. I never wanted to buy a dump truck, but a year and a half ago, we figured out we were paying $60,000 to $65,000 to rent a dump truck and a driver all year long. sorry, but when I read that, it's time to buy a dump truck because we can certainly get back at least the principal and interest payment on the dump truck we have now in helping to haul sand and do ditch work and projects all around town. We also know that Foglio Incorporated is getting out of the plowing business. Next winter, winter 17 to 18, will be the last winter of Foglio Incorporated plowing for the town. So about a year from now, we're going to have our ducks in a row to go out and either get one large contractor or 2 or 3 separate ones to do sections of the town. When I started out in doing the CIP, talking about, especially about the fire department, I had a great many expenses in there because we didn't have a whole lot of specific direction in terms of what we should and should not do. So I put a lot of things in there that I knew some of them would not stand in terms of repairs at the fire station. The budget committee took over $300,000 of that out and suggested that the selectmen consider a bond proposal to do some of those things. And those are a separate article that is going before the voters on June 13th. Consequently, the capital improvement plan went down considerably, and a lot of those things get moved over into the bonding question, which essentially, and I don't have my pointer over here, but we were taking over 60% of the plan that was defeated last fall and deleting those sections and building one 30 by 68-foot addition for some offices that were being repurposed for showers and sleeping rooms. And we were building, for the folks that are here, that one new section that's a graphic over there against the wall. Some other things were taken out. We had a good idea, but it's an expensive idea to how to fire protect our records. Thank you, David. In the code enforcement office, none of the files in there are fire protected. I think in the long run it would be smart to build a masonry room right outside the code enforcement officer's office, so that you can put anything in there. It doesn't have to be fire protected and it's not going to burn. Pretty expensive item, $45,000 to build that room and to have these rolling storage units like many people have seen in doctors' offices, courthouse, etc. So that idea was taken out completely. The Budget Committee also suggested we not pave the outer section of Ossipee Hill Road, and the sidewalks in South Waterboro were deleted also. So the bottom line is the Board of Selectmen recommended total of $5.98 million is up $212,000 or 3.6%. And I did the revenue budget estimates, and I'm thinking about another $152,000 of revenue can be realized. I'm pretty conservative, and Dennis is pushing me a little bit to be a little more realistic and not quite so conservative. I'd budget $9 for every 10 that we thought we were going to get on the revenues. Now I'm at about $9.50. So the bottom line on the municipal side, the net would be about a $60,000 increase to the taxpayer, or just under 8 cents on the mill rate for municipal operations only with the Board of Selectmen budget. Whew.
Thanks, Gary.
I talk very fast. If there's questions, I'd be happy to answer.
So we have, for anybody that's interested in following the budget, we do have a spreadsheet, and certainly you can come in and get a copy of that, or you can download it from the website. But you know, traditionally, what everybody watches and looks at is the town warrant. The town warrant has now been approved, and is it posted yet, or will be posted in the appropriate time frame. You know, it is the warrant that'll go on and be voted on the Saturday town meeting. 47 articles. They're not all money articles, but what Gary just went through gets distilled down into my articles covering, and most articles cover departments, so you know, it's kind of consistent with what the budget sums up as. So, but also on that warrant, in 2 weeks from tonight, we will have another public hearing, because in this year's warrant, there will be 7 secret ballot referendum questions. For those of you that have been following out town meeting attendance dilemmas and whatnot, we did have a petition drive and collected signatures back during the November election, and the Board of Selectmen have brought to the forefront in a referendum question in accordance with the charter to eliminate or abolish town meeting, and that we would now budget going forward in purely a referendum style vote, similar to what those of you that are familiar with the old school budget process. The new one, I think we just vote on a number, right? But the old school budget process had specific line items, and that's how, should we eliminate town meeting, that's how we would move forward. So that's Article 3, and it will be a secret ballot. There's also a secret ballot, Item 4, and that is, Gary talked about it a bit. It's not part of the overall operation budget of the fire department, but it would be a bond question relative to the upgrade of a number of things: the attic, the decontamination area, sleeping quarters, showers, various other movements inside of the current station, plus the addition of a 68 by 30 addition, which would then accommodate the office areas and whatnot. And we've kind of poked around with that from a business case, and can we put a modular outside and handle it that way? But I think when you start looking at those costs, they're what the bond would cost us, and at the end of the day, all you get is a modular office building that so many years from now you're going to haul off. So that's Article 4, and then there are 5 questions that will address the commercial, or I think they call it retail, retail operations considering marijuana that go along with the vote last November of legalizing marijuana in the state of Maine. So one addresses whether we have social clubs in town. One addresses whether or not we have a retail store in town where you can go down and buy marijuana and other forms of marijuana. One is to have a cultivation operation within town. There's another one to have a testing facility, and there's another one for a manufacturer of the non-traditional leaf marijuana. So the gummy bears that you hear about, and some of the other things that would be a manufacturing facility. So those will, and there's 5 questions. We went around and around on the board to have either 1 or 5, but specifically there are 5 categories that were part of that vote and became state law. So, and right now they're still having discussions in Augusta relative to these things too. So this would give us a non-binding decision by the town of Waterboro voters of which way that they would want to go. So those will be on the secret ballots as you go in and cast your votes on the 13th, June 13th. That's all secret ballot. You'll be voting on offices of the municipality. So there are two seats on the Board of Selectmen to be filled. There's 2 seats on the board, or RSU 57 Board of Directors, one for a 3-year term, one for a 1-year term. There is 2 seats on the Waterboro Water District that are being filled, one for a 3-year term, one for a 2-year term, and you have to live within the water district to be able to vote for that. But the folks at the polls had that all sorted out, so they can tell you right off whether or not you qualify or not. So the 47 articles will go before town meeting. This may or may not be the last physical meeting where we have voting. That'll be determined with Article 3, or the secret ballot question for Article 3 here, when you go to vote on the 13th. So that is kind of a summation of where we are. I think, as Gary said, I think when we scrub down this thing, and I think we can scrub a little bit more. Right now, he's looking at maybe $60,000 that will be an increase over last year's tax need for the municipal side. Has not got anything to do with the school vote. That's a separate issue, and that's getting uglier, I think, as more votes go on in Augusta. So
Can I make one other point?
yep.
I want folks to know that the budget document itself in Excel, the memos, the town meeting warrant, any and all of these things are available electronically, so anybody could get a hold of Town Hall and we can email these documents to you. And the other thing I didn't point out was the fire department addition project last year was $2 million and a pretty extensive addition over there. This is a 60% reduction, and the bond that's being suggested is a not to exceed $750,000 cost for this addition and renovations. I just wanted to bring that up.
So any comments or input from anyone on the budget, which we'll be voting on Saturday, the 17th? Dwayne?
Just a comment that if you can't go to town meeting, you can't get to vote in June, there is absentee ballots and all of this you can vote on absentee, so,
May 12th, if the ballots come in on time.
yeah. These ballots have got to be printed out of the state, and so it's done by the state of Maine, but got to go outside the state to be printed, so as long as they get here for the second week in May, you can vote absentee.
So, once they're here, we'll make sure that there's,
we will.
and just watch the paper, you can vote. Once they're available, you can come in here and vote, and they'll have the booth set up inside of the complex here and whatnot. So, if you're not gonna be available, or you wanna vote early, you can certainly do that based on state law. And, but they
I
should,
do believe that you can even take them home
I
and
believe you
return
have,
them.
right.
So if somebody wants to take them home and read them and study it and do some research, they can also do that.
anything else on the public hearing? Sensing none, Mr. Doyle.
Just have one question regarding the spreadsheet on the budget. Under line
page, Ted?
153 on page 6, that figure, is that based on 3 days per week or 2 days a week for the tax assessor?
The tax assessor?
Yeah,
The contract is $480 a day. It's pretty steep, but that's pretty much what these independent folks are getting,
Okay.
about $500 a day.
Well, just back into the math and.
We were getting considerably less than that with the previous folks.
Okay.
When they went to 3 days, they downsized their daily rate to just under $400 a day. But we're going to need most of that,
okay, I just thought I'd bring it up.
even in
because-
2 days a week.
Yeah,
It says 3
52
and-
weeks at 2 days is $49,000.
Okay, all right.
If we go to an employee, obviously, we'll be paying that much, but we'll be getting 4 or 5 days of work out of them.
Okay,
And you gotta pay the benefits.
Right. This person that's going to be working for us, there are 0 benefits with this. They pay everything.
Anything else? Sensing no, we'll call the public hearing to a close and go on with the rest of the agenda. So, line item number 3, announcements. Any announcements from the board tonight? Sensing none, we'll move on. Additions and deletions to the agenda. Any public comment? Okay, correspondence. Treasurer's reports are available. Senator Woodsome's newsletter and Representative Prescott's newsletters are both available. If you have a need to review those. Reports and staff initiatives, Dwayne, anything from you, Dwayne? Tim?
I don't have anything.
John?
I have nothing.
My only input is, we're voting on the annual Eco-Maine budget this Thursday, so that'll be finalized, and I don't think there's gonna be any adjustments other than what we did the other night, so. Gary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got school numbers for the school budget that was voted on last night by our school board. They knew that they were going to get less money from Augusta, and they knew this, so I don't know, a month or so ago. So the superintendent and the school board removed about $800,000 from their proposed budget, and which means the actual expense side only, just the tunnel vision expense side only, is up 0.6%. That's less than 1%. However, on the revenue side, Department of Education revenues so far are down $919,000. A lot of money. That results in an effective 4.8% increase to the RSU as a whole. Our portion of that is about $325,000 or 4% over this year's RSU budget. So essentially in the net, to the taxpayers, the school budget is going up 4% to the taxpayers of Waterboro. That is about a 43 cent increase on the mill rate, 43 cents on the mill rate for the school side, and the town is hovering around 8 cents on the municipal side. I don't think I'll talk any more about marijuana update. Dennis hit that pretty well. On the positive side, on Thursday, May 18th, from 5 to 7 o'clock, we are having a business after hours run by the Chamber of Commerce at the Waterboro Urgent Care, the Southern Maine Healthcare Facility here in town, celebrating their 10-year anniversary of being here in town, and businesses and employees are encouraged to attend and support that. Like I said before, our assessor Shirley Bartlett will start here Tuesday the 2nd, and we're certain that she's going to be here on the Tuesday because that's our long day. She'll be here till 7 o'clock at night, and I'm not sure if the second day will be Wednesday or Thursday. It doesn't matter too much to me. This lady works for 10 other towns, like I said, and she's got to divest herself of some of that work. But it'll be either Tuesday and Wednesday or Tuesday and Thursday when she starts. Nomination papers for selectmen are due into town hall by 5 o'clock Monday. We have 2 candidates so far who have returned those nomination forms, and 2 others have taken them out but have not returned them yet. And for school board, we only have 1 applicant for the 1-year term, and we don't have any applicants for the 3-year term. So if you're interested in the school board, the chance is there. And Tuesday, May 16th is the RSU 57 district business meeting. And one other little addition to the budget here, I computed the LD1 question, which is sometimes has to be a written question on town meeting floor. I haven't put that number in there yet because I need to verify with our new assessor the actual growth. I computed at $9.9 million of new growth to the town. Sounds a little high to me. I know we do at least half of that, but bottom line with those numbers, we are within the LD1 cap, and we do not need to have a secret ballot on the floor. But I'm going to verify those numbers with her and have that accurate data for you later.
Even with the school budget going up that high?
Yeah, because the
That's
LD1
not
doesn't
it.
affect it.
Right, that's not part of that. That's it from me. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gary. Any questions, comments?
Just-
Bridget?
Do we know what the mill rate is then?
No, you can't do that now. We've given you a rough estimate of, what did I say, 43 cents on the school side and 8 cents on the town side for the numbers that we have right now. If the Department of Education funding comes through with more, my understanding is, you'd have to double check this, that goes into fund balance and the budget as passed continues. They don't go back in and alter the budget at all. That's why part of the reason probably they're using $2 million this year in fund balance to knock down the impact.
Yeah, we've had some discussion about our fund balance, and
Yep.
I think we as a board probably need to sit down and come up with a strategy of how we're going to manage that over the next few years, because it certainly is healthy, and tried to get a read from the auditor of whether or not the crisis fund should be, they always say that you should have 2 to 3 months worth of revenue. If the crisis fund is 1 month automatically, so do we need 2 more? Or one more, you know, I think that's a fair question to them, so. Okay,
Yeah, just a comment on the school board. If anybody's out there that is willing to sit on the school board, we need to get your papers out, because this is a position that we have, as selectmen, have appointed for the last 2 years, and we just can't keep doing this. We need somebody to run for the school board position. It is an elected position, and I don't feel that the Board of Selectmen should keep appointing somebody to this board on a yearly basis.
yeah, I would agree. I mean, we all equally, the 6 towns all have 3 directors. We have a third of the population in that school district, and I would hope that with that number of kids in the system, that there are going to be some folks that would be willing to serve a 3-year term, if nothing more, than you know, on a school board, and have some impact and some say at those board meetings of what the curriculum is, what all of the things that go with running an
You
operation.
need 25 signatures, you ought to have 30 on it to make sure that you got town residents, but it won't take but a couple, 3 hours to go get those signatures, or go down to the dump for an hour, and the dump's open.
I mean, the transfer station?
Transfer station, still gonna be the dump to me, but it is the transfer station.
All right, I
to get
call it
those.
that too. Hard to get rid of that. Okay, yeah, let's move on. New business, discuss to renew state malt vinous and spirituous liquor license for Asian Taste located at 1009B Main Street. I'm assuming that, I know that we've got the stuff in from the fire department. Do we have everybody else squared away? All right. What is your pleasure?
I will move that we recommend to the state that the taste,
Asian
Good.
Taste.
Asian taste.
the Asian Taste receive their liquor license.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? When does it expire, the current one? May. So you're in good shape if we approve it tonight.
You got 2 or 3 days.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Congratulations on all the work you've had to do there.
It looks good.
A lot of work.
He brought you guys dinner.
You can't keep doing that, you know. Thank you, but that's plenty. We don't need any more.
Okay. We're all set with that?
You can stop in and see Sherry tomorrow after this license is signed, and then come pick it up. You can stay if you want to tonight, but you don't have to.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Good enough, thank you. All right, under old business, we've continued, Tim requested through myself and Gary that we put, or keep the ATV thing with public roads in front of everybody. I think we've got a drafted ordinance. There's some back and forth between the ATV club. There was a recommendation or a request that that we delay any action on this because they've got the Department of Inland Fishery and Game that want to come and speak at a meeting. Who else did they have? They had
Department of Conservation Trails guy, but the document itself is still very preliminary.
Right.
But wanted to hear Tim's comments and any other comments from the public and the board and moving forward. Lee J's here because he drafted this and he can speak to how he did, why he did what he did here with this document. And then 2 weeks from tonight, I guess, depending on whether or not you want to workshop it that night or another night, we could actually dive into the details here.
Do you, any questions for Lee J? I think it's pretty much modeled after state law, right? I mean, at this point.
Correct. Good evening. Yes, the draft you have in front of you, if it is in front of you, is modeled after the state law. I didn't go in and come up with anything on my own. I took everything from state law and just crafted it into an ordinance for you folks to consider. The biggest issue that we're just trying to clean up and make sure everybody's on the same page with is where on-road would be allowed and how that will be handled. So we're working through that, and I think we'll be in good shape for 2 weeks from tonight if that's something you folks want to do.
So anything, and I know that the state law says 500 yards.
1,500
Right.
feet, yes,
Right.
correct.
So anything above and beyond that would be potentially identified, right, as?
Yes,
you know.
there is a section of the state law actually, and it's H in your draft ordinance, 3H, which is the wording that allows the select board to approve additional travel, basically, on any town roads.
I think it's G.
G? I'm sorry.
Notwithstanding paragraphs A through F and ATV
Oh, that's what it
may.
is, yes. So that basically is the wording, and that comes from the state regulation that would give you the authority to identify any roads that you want travel on, which is travel beyond 1,500 feet.
So the dilemma here, and I think we've all kind of kicked this around either, in session or, at the coffee shop or talking to ATVs or whatever, is that whatever the ATV club and we as a municipality come up with and agree to will be an ordinance going forward. However, like any other thing that goes on on the roads or in the municipality and everything else, if you've got a bunch of people that don't care about what the ATV club posts or anything else, then they're going to ruin it for anybody else. And I think, certainly some of the comments that came out of during Ridge Road when we had the trial last year and everything else, I think represent probably the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? I think when they saw an organized trail ride, it was, everybody was pretty disciplined, but, I mean, people have been going up and down during Ridge Road for years on ATVs, as fast as they'll go, so I don't know whether that's 50 miles an hour or 60 miles an hour, but, so, they're the ones that will cause the grief and anguish here, so, but I think our role in this is to try to work with an organized group, the ATV club, just like we would with any other organized group, to say what is it that the municipality can do to help. And it's a huge economic boost to this community, the amount of ATVs that are here and visit the stores and all of that stuff. So somehow we need to sort this out without infringing on other rights and privileges. So
It's a hard, the data you get is negative because one in 5 might be positives, but the 4 negative is what people pay attention to. You get like you say, the one person that breaks the speed limit is driving and roaring by at 10:30 at night. That lasts in people's minds a lot more than you're unaware of the people that are living within the law.
Yep.
And riding their ATVs within the speed limit. You're just not aware of them. So in making that decision, it's going to be hard because you do know there's an economic benefit to the town with the recreational use, and at the same time you do expect that you're going to get negative reports from people. It's a hard decision to make.
I think the beauty of it for you though is that when it's a state law, and it's up here and it's being regulated by inland fisheries wildlife, by game wardens and those folks. When you create a local ordinance which talks about the speed limit and talks about having your lights on and talks about proper usage and signage and those sorts of things, even though it's state law, once it's down at your level, now it becomes much more local control. And if there is an abuse that continues to go on and it's badly abused for some reason, then you can modify this ordinance to say, no, you can't do that anymore. So it gives you a little more local control while also allowing the users to have the ability to hopefully use the trails and use the roads respectfully as they're being allowed to through the local regulation.
Yeah, I think my interest with, especially with the Fish and Game, and I think certainly the sheriff's office has to chime in here, but if and when this is done, okay, they still have an obligation,
Correct.
right? They can't say, well, there's a local ordinance, they'll take care of it.
Once we post that road to 20 miles an hour to
Right.
ATVs,
Right.
it's up to our two personal sheriffs
Right.
and whoever else is patrolling.
Right, so they
Three
can't
or
just
four
walk,
roads,
they
they
just
just
can't
can't-
walk away from it,
No.
right?
Correct.
So, and that's,
Especially when we're paying them.
it's just, you just need to make sure that, it doesn't say, well, we don't have to take care of that anymore because there's a local ordinance. Well, the people that are gonna ruin it are gonna ruin it whether there's a local ordinance or not, right?
Absolutely.
The ordinance doesn't mean anything to them.
The
All right,
que-
so-
The question I would have
Yeah.
is, does inland fish and game also fall into that same,
They
because they
have,
always have,
right,
no matter where they are in town. So
They
even
have-
though we got a trail,
right. They have an obligation to make sure
Right,
they're
travel.
registered, right?
they still have authority to
Absolutely.
slow them down if it's over 20 miles.
Local
an hour.
ordinance certainly doesn't exempt the state from their responsibilities.
Yeah, whether it's a state trooper, whether it's a game warden, or whether it's one of our local, contract deputies. I think
Correct.
they all have an obligation.
Yes.
All right, anything else, Tim?
I say something. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last year, when we talked about this and I voted for it, we think we're dealing with the ATV club. And I pictured people like that riding past the house. And I live on that stretch of Deering Ridge Road. So this is firsthand information. And the majority of the riders that we saw had zero respect for the rules of the road and zero respect for the residents. And before we go any further, as far as I'm concerned, ATVs in residential areas, especially for people that have farm animals, do not mix. That may work in Rangeley and Millinocket, but it's just not appropriate here. And my neighbors are just waiting for the other shoe to drop to see if they're going to have another summer like last year. And I know that this brings money into town, but I estimate that that stretch of road, they probably pay about $65,000 a year in taxes. And that's another dollar sign to consider. But the club riders were courteous, and I could live with that all day long. But I'd say there was maybe 2/3 were not club riders, unfortunately. So those are the people we're dealing with.
Yep.
We're not dealing with the ATV club, which we're great.
And with all due respect to Tim, that ain't gonna change. Whether we have an ordinance or not, you're gonna still get those riders that don't respect anything up there. So, that's been going on for years, so.
That's true, but not on a scale like last year where the club paved the way for legitimate use of Deering Ridge Road. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Bridget?
So what's the process from here?
Well, we've drafted an ordinance. We need to, the local ATV club is gonna come in and meet with us. They wanna bring in, whether it's a workshop, and I would think that we would do a workshop. But I know that, who's the warden that handles the,
Rick Laflamme.
Laflamme, and there's some other folks that wanna come in in support of this. But, we'll hear them out, and I think the ATV club, they lived without access to Deering Ridge Road for the bulk of last year. Whether they have to live with it again this year or not, I'm not sure. That, it is what it is, right? So we'll work this thing out one way or the other, and But if you look at the ordinance, other than that stretch of road or whatnot, I mean, there's 500 or 1,500 feet, 500 yards that, you know, it's supposed to be the limit, but the limit must start in Hollis on Deering Ridge Road, right? Because it is, I mean, it's a continuous thing, that no matter where you are on the road. I think you're right, we probably drove more traffic once you posted the road and stuff, but.
Clark's Bridge Road is the same way. I mean, anywhere from 8 o'clock at night until midnight, you've got ATVs going up through there. So it's
Bridget?
not just Deering Bridge.
Is there a public hearing somewhere in there?
There will be, once we,
Public hearing.
right,
and
once we have the language in the ordinance that we feel is appropriate, then we would bring it to a public hearing. And right now, there's not even trying to guess when we'll have that done. So I think there's certainly a need from their perspective to try to work either yay or nay from the board here in the next month, but
I believe the way we voted, the trail ended as of the 1st of December and would not reopen until we re-looked at it and had a public hearing.
The club's aware that they're not going to, I repeat, not going to open up Deering Ridge Road this spring.
and I believe their trails open up May 30th. I think the state law says no sooner than May 15th or something of that nature, but so I mean, we'll have them in and hear them out and we'll go from there. Okay, anything else? All right, others vote to discuss the vote to approve the minutes of April 11th regular meeting.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Pending decisions, review the comprehensive plan list. Need to probably start having a session, a workshop session, with dealing with where you stand and
On the comp plan?
right.
Okay.
I can quickly brief you at least on the zoning ordinance, which is part, I think, of the comp plan process. But we're in very good shape at this point with the draft. We've gotten halfway through, I think it is, the zones, and kind of weeding out some of the uses that really don't need to be in some of these zones and maybe not appropriate as they have been in the past. Once we get done that, we will move on to see if there's any need to adjust, propose any adjustments in the map to go along with that. I don't see that there will be much of adjustments there, but one never knows. And at that point, we will have a completed draft. So I suspect by, just to be on the conservative side, I think we will probably have a final draft probably by August.
Okay. And then it'll come to the board, and then we'll either eat it all in one bite or take it in little snippets, right?
I would love to see you do it all in one bite with myself breaking it down in sections for you to talk about what was done and why as a one presentation, and I think we can do that. I don't think that there have been a lot of major changes. I think it's been a lot of tweaking and reorganizing, but nothing earth-shattering. So
Okay.
I think that's a good thing.
Good. Okay. Prep for the 2017 referendum question. I think Gary has teed up a thing. We probably need to start in earnest saying what was it that we're gonna go out with a mailing similar to what the fire department is gonna do and whatnot. So we need to, I guess, as a group, and I would like to take maybe a few minutes to discuss whether that's this weekend or the next meeting, how much we're going to do as a board versus individuals or whatever the case may be. But
This didn't go to anybody other than the board.
And I don't know if you've seen the fire department's mailer, but I think they're putting this out to everybody, and it's got a mailbox, right?
Yes.
So, and I think it's a pretty good summation of what they're doing. So. All right, week's action list. We're all set there. We need to make sure that we sign off on the Asian Taste liquor license. Agenda items for next week. I think for the next meeting, we're doing the public hearing on the referendum ballots. Referendum questions, I should say. What else do we have teed up? We needed to appoint the assessor. Okay. Even though Gary's hiring, we're the ones that appoint for the charter. All right, we'll see what. Yes, yeah.
I just wanted to let you know, I did talk with Christine, and it's been posted already about having a public hearing on the budget
Yep.
for next week.
Okay.
9th.
So we can, you know, 'cause we can go through it again.
Massive turnout tonight is obviously going to overflow to 2 weeks from now.
Right. So we'll put it on. We'll put the whole discussion back on again. If it's been posted, we should address it.
Do you want to have a workshop on, if the agenda continues to be that light, do you want a workshop on ATVs 2 weeks from tonight?
I think the sooner the better. We should put that to bed.
I would agree.
So if they want to participate, we can't do this unilaterally. We have to have them involved here.
Okay.
Okay? Again, signature of the meeting. We are going to move into an executive session here pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 405-6A, the evaluation of the town administrator. So David is going to run the reminders, correct? So I would entertain a motion that we go into executive session, I'll say 5 minutes from now, and that will give everybody a chance to clear out. So I'd appreciate a motion to that effect.
So moved, Dennis.
Been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? So we will commence an executive session in 5 minutes.